Reviewing a Total War game is a daunting task. Finishing a single campaign takes about a week, and you have multiple lords who have their own special mechanics, and you have to go over them, and you have to look at their units and lords to give an accurate description of what it is like to play the game. If I did that, this video would end up being an hour long or more, and I really don't want to make an hour long video. Which is why this video is the Skarbrand edition, where I review the game and campaign through the lens of playing as Skarbrand, and then I will do the same with the other lords, because that gives me an excuse to keep playing Total War. Because this is the first video, I will approach it like I'm talking to a beginner, but I'm not gonna explain everything, because you should figure some stuff out on your own, because that's part of the fun. Losing and learning from the loss and hitting the rematch button. Obsessively rematching a battle because your ego just can't accept the loss is the intended Total War experience. But I have come to learn that just accepting the loss and then destroying their kingdom 100 turns later out of spite is a more rewarding experience. Why did I choose to start my Total Warhammer 3 experience with Skarbrand? Well, I didn't. I chose Kislev because Creative Assembly said Kislev is a good beginner faction. I don't know what paint Creative Assembly were sniffing when they decided Kislev was good for beginners. If you play as Kislev, everything on the map that is slightly chaos will say, you know what? Fuck that guy. You'll be dealing with a shit ton of corruption and a fuck ton of demon armies, probably also vampires and ogres because hey, fuck you. Plus, if you look at starting positions, you can see the Ice Court starts in the center of the map, while Skarbrand has his nice little corner there. And if you just go up, you can get rid of that Slaanesh nonsense early on. So the scenario of being surrounded by enemies is far less likely to happen as Skarbrand, and he is very simple to play. I don't know why Creative Assembly doesn't recommend him as a beginning faction. Maybe it's just because of his unique mechanic with the skulls, but that's still easy to manage. It's a weird decision, but in my opinion Skarbrand is the perfect choice if you want to get familiar with Total War. Whether you are a returning player or completely new. If you are a beginner, then play the Prologue. It's a pretty good tutorial that I wish we got earlier. I had about 100 hours in Total Warhammer 1 before I realized you could chart a path for your unit with the shift key. Everyone should know a little about the Warhammer world by now, but in case you don't, imagine Lord of the Rings or World of Warcraft, except everything is terrible. Just murder and misery everywhere. I feel like talking about the story is a waste of time because there barely is any. It's less of a story and more of a framework of motivations for the lords. A reason for why everyone is battling each other now. The Prologue actually has a story though, and it was decent and had some good cinematics. I wish they would do more of what they did there, but whatever. But there are cinematics for the main campaign and what you do, but it's pretty bare bones. A shadow demon named Belagor stole Kislev's god bear, Ursun. This god bear usually screams the winter away. And all the lords want to get this god bear. Why would Skarbrand, a demon, care at all about that? Well, because his god, the blood god Khorne, likes to collect skulls. And a god skull would be very cool to have. Khorne is also the war god, so I mean any excuse is good enough for war. The other three chaos gods are Nurgle, god of plagues and diseases, Tzeentch, the god of change and magic or whatever, I'm not exactly sure what Tzeentch is all about, and that's exactly how Tzeentch wants it. And finally, Slaanesh, god of sex, drugs and rock and roll. Basically the god of addictive things that are bad for you, essentially the god of TikTok and OnlyFans. The story mostly ignores what lord you're playing, and it's like, oh, a demon soul was collected. Time for a cinematic conversation between Be'lakor and Ursun. I wish there was more meat on the story, but it feels very much like a skeleton to structure the campaign around more than anything you would actually engage with. Gameplay. Select a faction lord. You have a big map where you can expand your territory. Manage your money by building up your territory. Each castle or whatever will have 4 to 6 slots to build stuff in. Units require money upkeep, so you need money buildings. More money equals bigger army to take more territory. You have turns to move around and build and shit to paint the map with your faction's color. Get into a battle. You don't control single units, instead you control like battalions or whatever. You can create interesting formations and use cavalry to harass enemy units, like attacking them in the back while they're engaged with a walking unit. You can also hide units in the forest or something, or making sure that your infantry is in front of your archers protecting them. Stuff like that. There's a lot of room for tactical thinking in this game, and that's really fun. You can also zoom in and watch the units kill each other. Make sure to buy the Blood and Gore DLC. Yes, I know. It's fucking stupid. This game about demons and murder doesn't have blood by default, because blood is bad. But murder is fine, as long as they don't bleed. You also have diplomacy to make alliances and trade deals and whatever. Just make sure you never press that demand button. I pressed it and the only thing I got was everyone immediately hating me. But I did use diplomacy to make factions that were at war with my enemy stronger. The gameplay is fun, and pulling off good tactical stuff like setting up a choke point or something makes you feel like a genius. I may have the brain power of a sweet potato, but at least Total War can make me think I'm smart. As you know, I picked Skarbrand, and all the lords have their own unique mechanics. So what's his? Skulls. He can sacrifice skulls to Khorne to make his army stronger in battle, like being able to move further and summon a unit of bloodletters. He needs skulls to capture settlements and colonize new ones. He will also automatically acquire settlements if he has at least one settlement in that province, so you don't need to use your skulls too much. Oh, and he only has like 2 ranged units. One is a cannon and the other is, well, like a melee unit that shoots sometimes. They are the worshippers of a war god that wants everyone to die in combat. Therefore, the Khorne mandate is that archery is for pussies. He doesn't care where he gets the skulls from, whether it's his followers' skulls or enemies. Either way, he's happy. So why would he let his followers use bows? A bow can't harvest a skull. Skarbrand's army is full of strong melee alpha boys that are like Charlie Sheen.
Oh, I have 1 speed, I have 1 gear. Go!
Here's how you play Skarbrand. Press the formation melee in front button, press start battle, and right-click the enemy. You will win 70% of your battles this way. I didn't really find any better way to play him other than just rushing in. Maybe spreading your units out and then encircling the enemy is the best strategy. But yeah, that's why he's good for beginners. He's very basic. He also has unholy manifestations, which lets him summon an army to attack a friendly army. Summoning an army to attack yourself is usually not a good strategy, but in Total War it's a good way to level up your armies. You can also increase campaign movement range for 1 turn, increase the amount of skulls you get by 100% for 4 turns, and raise a settlement for 1,000 skulls. All of his units are pretty strong, but Bloodthirsters and the Exalted Bloodthirster Lords and the Soul Grinder are your absolute strongest. They just fuck everything else. Except Cathay's Terracotta Sentinels, those are something else. Skarbrand does have some difficulty dealing with factions that have a lot of ranged units, but his units have decent speed and armor to withstand an arrow barrage, so they will be hurt, but they will get into melee. Plus, killing archers is what cavalry is for. You only have one lord, a Herald of Khorne. He's like a stronger bloodletter, so a basic melee unit that can level up to get a horse or a chariot. If the Herald of Khorne does good enough, then Khorne will tell him, "You've done a good job, therefore I will replace you with one of my nephews, a greater demon." And that's how you get the Exalted Bloodthirster Lord. Shameless nepotism. The Bloodthirster Lords are like bootleg versions of Skarbrand. And Skarbrand himself is an absolute beast. He can fuck everyone up in melee and can get a passive heal. He is unbelievably strong. But I think he did one time get gunned down by either the dwarf or human ranged units. No wonder he got exiled. As for the heroes, you have basically a Herald of Khorne and like a chaos cultist who can summon a bloodletter. That alone makes him very strong. If a province you don't control gets enough Khorne corruption, you can start a cult. This cult can pretty much either harvest skulls for you or summon Skarbrand to the location. I didn't use this at all because Skarbrand was always busy with the campaign nonsense. He can also raise a settlement to summon a whole ass army. That isn't overpowered at all. It's usual with Total War that the tech tree is just full of stuff that makes you better in battle, or makes your faction mechanic better, or makes you money. And Skarbrand is no different, but he has two tech options that make everyone else dislike you. Skarbrand works for the guy that just wants everyone to die in a war, so everyone will dislike Skarbrand, and probably declare war on him, which is exactly what Skarbrand wants, so he can collect blood for the blood god. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Let's talk about the campaign. It's bad, like almost to the point where I wouldn't recommend playing the game right now. But I still recommend the game because you can effectively mod out the campaign. And it is alright the first time around. I say alright, but a more accurate word is tolerable. In Total Warhammer 2, you didn't really need to think about the campaign so much, and you could focus a little more on taking out your enemies and getting territory. That is not the case in this one. This campaign is ridiculously intrusive, and the main gimmick is multiple rifts or portals into hell, or, well, one of the 4 Warhammer hells, open across the world, and what follows a rift into hell, well, an army from hell, on your land every 10 or 15 turns. This forces you to play the game very defensively and build up your towns to have great defenses before you can leave, because if you don't, a demon army will come through a fun rift and mess up your shitty town, and you will be left saying, "Oh, what fresh hell is this?" This makes the game slower, and it makes it more unpredictable in a bad way. In an RTS, unpredictability is fine if it's like, "Oh no, I didn't know my enemy had an army like this around, I gotta figure out something now." But the Rift unpredictability is more like, "Oh great, I suddenly have like 5 armies on my territory. Great, what a thoughtful gift." Plus, it is very annoying if you aren't a demon race. I mean, even if you are a demon race, it can still be annoying for this reason. But it's because of the corruption mechanic. Demons and vampires corrupt the land around them. If you are a normal people human, then this is bad. Your army will take damage and the local townsfolk will become upset. Because suddenly the grass is no longer green. It's purple, and the animals keep fucking all over the place because Slaanesh, the chaos god of Cum, is corrupting the land. So when this rift gets slapped on your territory, what follows is an enemy army that isn't that threatening to be fair, but it also brings a fuckload of corruption. And sure, you can combat both these things by building defensive structures and structures that eliminate the corruption, or at least some of it. And you can, of course, close the rifts, but that costs money, and you might not be able to get to the rift as fast as you like. But building these structures takes time and money and kind of forces you to play tall. Playing tall is when you don't really expand your territory and instead focus on making your current territory very strong and resilient. But you can, and I did this with Skarbrand, was just expand at a rapid pace, and if rift demons destroyed my town, I'd just say, fuck it, I'll get it back later. For about 15 turns the rifts will be there, and then the other 15 the rifts won't be there. But the armies and corruption will still remain, so you have to get both of those down. I played on normal difficulty and this stuff was annoying there. I can imagine that on the hardest difficulty the rifts would be upgraded from an annoyance to a severe hindrance. By the way, if you are a demon such as Skarbrand, the corruption can be annoying because with demons, it's a corruption battle between the 4 chaos gods, so Khorne corruption will conflict with the interests of Nurgle corruption, so you don't want another chaos god's corruption on your lands. The main good thing about the rifts is that your legendary lord can use them as fast travel. Okay, I have covered one half of the campaign's mechanics now, time for the second half. You are supposed to go into the rift to collect the demon soul. You need to get one from each realm. As Skarbrand, of course I started with Khorne's realm. There, you need to fight a bunch of armies to gain Khorne's favor to be allowed to fight the demon prince, who has the soul you need. Fighting is cool and fine, and as Skarbrand I felt pretty rewarded in Khorne's realm. Because I could go pick up weapons in the corners, those weapons were really good. If you've ever played an RPG, then you should know how the weapons and armor system works. The battle with the Demon Prince is a series of hold-the-point battles, where you get to buy reinforcements and build turrets. And it's pretty decent. It's like mini sieges where you just get to watch your boys kill some other boys. And then a final battle with the Demon Prince. Khorne's realm is good. There's nothing really bad here except running into an army that's very strong or counters your army, but you can avoid them at least. Slaanesh's realm. If Creative Assembly had been brave, then you would have to sex your way to a demon soul, but instead they're cowards. But what we got is really cool because you're going through like 6 layers of hell. And at each gate to a new layer, there is a temptation you must resist, like a lot of money and some strong items. If you accept the temptation, you are immediately thrown out of Slaanesh's realm, losing your chance at the Demon Soul. You must reach the final layer where the Demon Prince waits, and of course along the way you have to fight armies of Slaaneshi penis women. The final battle, however, is just like the Khorne realm. Capture point, then hold point, and then a final battle with the Demon Prince. By the way, I lost the weapons I was rewarded in Khorne's realm when I entered Slaanesh's realm, so the demon realms aren't that rewarding, and I haven't noticed any real reward for getting a demon soul. Nurgle's realm is like walking through a swamp filled with blood-sucking leeches and HIV needles, which I'm pretty sure is what it actually is. You will suffer attrition here, and there are some armies blocking your path. Luckily, Skarbrand can move while in an encampment state, negating the attrition. You have to walk into a beam of light and then go to this gate thing for the final battle, and the final battle is the same as the other two. The first time I entered Tzeentch's realm, I got booted out because the Chinaman claimed the soul. Fuck, that makes me mad. Fuck, that makes me mad. Fuck, that makes me mad. Severely annoyed, I destroyed the Chinaman. I really don't like that it boots you out of the realm. But in the realm you have to go through a series of portals that will put you somewhere. You don't know where you will end up, so just hope for the best. You can do an event to reveal where some portals will go though. You can also kill an army to reveal a teleport sigil. The second time I went into Tzeentch's realm, fuck, that's hard to say. Kugath claimed the soul and I was thrown out again. Fuck this game. Time to kill Kugath. At this point the only enemy left was Cairo's Fate Weaver, the Tzeentch Lord. Jesus. And I wanted to keep him alive until I could finish this soul business. Third attempt. Got through the portal madness and the final battle, exactly the same as the others. Now it's time to fight Be'lakor. Oh, spoilers I guess, I bet you didn't see that coming. But yeah, his realm has no gimmick, it's just straight to the battle. And the battle with Be'lakor, oh wow, capture 3 points and hold them, never seen that before. Be'lakor was pretty weak in the battle and I found it pretty easy. As a reward for winning the battle you get Be'lakor as a legendary lord. He has some pretty good passives. Where were they when I was fighting him? It was just such an anti-climax. The worst part about the campaign is that it's a race. I hate race stuff in RTS games. You and all the other lords are trying to get these souls, so you have to race down this stupid campaign or be forced to rush into taking down enemy lords even though it may be counter to your desired strategy. Because if you don't, you will lose the game. Just game over, back to menu. That fucking sucks. The game is forcing you so much to play in certain ways and it's just awful. Okay, to conclude the campaign, it's a letdown. It was mostly just an annoyance dealing with a constant demon invasion and the soul stuff was just ugh. Let's get this over with, and story-wise it all felt pretty unpersonal. At least throw in some lines from Be'lakor where he taunts Skarbrand or something. Be'lakor would notice me collecting all those demon souls, right? So wouldn't he want to do something about it or say something? I don't know, it's weird. It is important to note that many of the things I talked about will get changed in patch 1.1, like making the souls race easier to disrupt, effectively making another enemy lose all their souls, preventing rifts from spawning in your province, and some rewards for getting demon souls. I am really happy about this patch coming. It fixes a lot of stuff that is wrong with the game as it is. But I still want to talk about the problems the game has right now, so you will at least remember that it released in a shitty state. And that brings me to the complaint section. Poor PC performance like FPS, crashing the desktop, and screen tearing. I wish I could disable movement notifications for lords. Like on the end turn button, before you can click that, a bunch of notifications will be on top that are like, hey, you haven't moved this lord or upgraded this building. Which is fine, but sometimes I just want to put a lord somewhere on the map in case one of those random armies come around. And then that lord can take care of it. I don't need to be notified about him every turn. The infantry feels slower than they did in Total Warhammer 2. Like when they turn around, they turn and then run. It's like some developer at Creative Assembly was playing too much Dota and thought the units moving without turn rate was weird. I like the color red a lot, but the UI has too much red. Everything is red, every button. It would be nice to have some variety. Speaking of red, come on dudes, just have blood in the game by default. Or just have it as a toggleable option. Are you doing this because of the Chinese? Because of their censorship horny dictatorship? It's just fucking lame, and very scummy that you sell it to us. There were some moments where my lord or a big unit was just standing in the middle of a battle looking like he was deep in thought about what to do next. Should I swing my left-handed weapon or my right? I don't know, fucker, just do something. This is not really a complaint, but more for your information. The auto-resolve battle is often wrong. It will say I should lose a battle, but then I play it myself and win it. Sometimes with a decisive victory. And I'm pretty sure even if you win the auto-resolve, you are losing more units than you would have if you played it yourself. Praise. It's fun. Really fun. I've always liked RTS games, especially the fantasy ones, and Total Warhammer is probably the best one out there right now. The formation stuff and being tactical is something I feel the Total War franchise is really good at. Like setting up good formations or trying to set up a choke point on the terrain. I didn't really engage much with that as Skarbrand, but I did that a lot in Total Warhammer 2. When your frame rate isn't chilling down at the Earth's core, the game looks really good and smooth. I didn't experience much of the frame rate drop in the battles, it was mostly the campaign, which of the two I would prefer the battles to have a consistent FPS. And the battles look really good. Like zooming in and seeing dudes fight each other or watching cavalry or something big charge into a group of infantry and the infantry just goes flying. It's fun. I also felt the game had good visual clarity and like nice and easy ways to jump between units. Like if I wanted to know where one of my guys is, I just double click the portrait and I jump right to his position. With Skarbrand specifically, more than other lords probably, my units would end up in a big ball of chaotic battle, and I always felt it was easy to see exactly what units were in that messy ball. It is pretty difficult to get the units to get out of those balls though. Just squeeze through the ranks and get out, it's not hard. So it does kinda feel like the unit collision could be slimmer, but hey, it's fine I guess. And you wouldn't really want enemy units squeezing through your ranks. I really appreciate the Lord uniqueness and variety. It adds so much replay value and makes another playthrough feel so much different. Like Skarbrand and Kislev are not gonna have the same diplomatic options and units, it's a whole other experience. There may be a lot wrong with the game right now, but Creative Assembly have already announced patch 1.1, which fixes a lot of it. Like the campaign. At the end of the day, I'm just a big man baby who likes his virtual baby toys. And demons going to war with ogres or people is the perfect baby toy for me. Conclusion. In my eyes, the Total Warhammer series is an investment. It only gets better as time goes on. New content gets added, stuff gets improved, and when Immortal Empires hits, I'm just gonna vanish into the ether. All the lords and the maps from the last 2 games. Jesus, winning a campaign in that is gonna take a month at least. That's just huge. So while the game is in a less than ideal state now, I have faith that in about 2 months the game will be far better. And a little more down the line, it's gonna be absolutely amazing. It is really shitty though that they released the game in this sorry state. But as it is now, I'm still having fun with the game and am a little addicted to it. When I boot the game up, 4 hours will pass by without me looking away from the screen. Time for the score. I give it a Total Warhammer 3 out of Total Warhammer 2, because currently number 2 is better. Don't buy this game right now. Buy it when Creative Assembly makes it good. I will keep you updated on that. but as the game is now, I think it's the least fun I've had with a Total War game. The next Warhammer Lord video should be much shorter because I don't have to complain about the campaign again, and I will include updates on the state of the game, so subscribe for that. Call me Uncle Brian and have a good day.